Akira.
He's got clout.
A really good book costs $10 or $20 and can change your life in a meaningful way. I don't want to read everything. I just want to read the 100 great books over and over again. It's about identifying what are the great books to you, because different books speak to different people, and then really absorbing those. I don't know about you, but I have very poor retention. I skim, I speed read, I jump around. I could not tell you specific passages or quotes from books. But at some deep level, you do absorb them and they become part of the threads of the tapestry of your psyche. I'm not a very disciplined person, so I don't really set these hard and fast rules for myself. The good news is I just love to read, because I love to read. Whenever I'm bored and I have time, I just do it. I just do it. Once the internet came along, I think it destroyed everybody's attention span. Because now all of humanity's works are available to you at any given time, and you're being interrupted constantly. Just our attention span goes down, our ability to focus goes down, but at the same time, we just become more judicious. We also want the meat. And a lot of the oldest wisdom is actually in books. And with books, you're now talking about the combined works of all of humanity as opposed to just who happens to be blogging right now. I just view it as a blog archive, skim through a large number of books. I'll put them down, I'll jump around, back, forward, middle, until I find a part that's interesting, then I'll just consume that piece. And I won't feel guilty about having to finish the entire book. The reality is, I don't actually read that much compared to what people think. I probably read 1 to 2 hours a day. And that puts me in the top 0.00001%. I think that alone accounts for any material success that I've had in my life and any intelligence that I might have. Because real people don't read an hour a day. Real people, I think, read a minute a day or less. Making it an actual habit is the most important thing. And how you make it a habit doesn't matter. It's very much like exercise or working out. Do something every day. It almost doesn't matter what you do, because eventually you'll read enough things and your interest will lead you there that it will dramatically improve your life. Human beings are entirely creatures of habit. Young children are born with no habit loops. They're essentially born as blank slates. And then they habituate themselves to things and they learn patterns and they get conditioned and they use that to get through everyday life. And habits are good. Habits can allow you to background process certain things. So habits are good so that your frontal lobe stays available to solve brand new problems. Habits are good. But we also unconsciously pick up habits in the background and we keep them for decades and we may not realize that they're bad for us. So we're ready to move on from them. To some extent, our attitude in life, our mood, our happiness levels, depression levels, these are also habits. Do we judge people? How often do we eat? What kinds of food do we eat? Do we walk or do we sit? Do we move? Do we exercise? Do we read? Do we read? Do we read? These are habits as well. Absolutely need habits to function. You cannot solve every problem in life as if it's the first time it's thrown at you. But what we do is we accumulate all these habits, we put them in the bundle of identity, ego, ourselves, and then we get attached to that. I'm Shane, this is the way I am. I'm Naval, this is the way I am. It's really important to be able to uncondition yourself, to be able to take your habits apart and say, oh, okay, well, that's a habit that I probably picked up from when I was a toddler and I was trying to get my parents' attention. And now I've just reinforced it and reinforced it and reinforced it, and I call it part of my identity. But is it serving me anymore? Is it making me happier? Is it making me healthier? Is it making me accomplish whatever I want to set out to accomplish right now? And so I think you can uncondition yourself, you can untrain yourself. It's just hard. It takes work, it takes effort, and usually the big habit changes come when there's strong desire motivators attached to them.
Akira The Don.
A big habit that I'm working on, which is going to be really hard to explain in any way that any normal human being will understand this, but I'm trying to turn off my monkey mind. I think when we're born as children, we're pretty blank slates. We're living very much in the moment, and we're essentially just reacting to our environment through our instincts. We're living in what I would call the real world. The real world. The real world. When puberty comes along, it's the onset of desire. It's the first time you really, really want something, and you start long-range planning for it. And then because of that, you start thinking a lot, and you start building an identity and an ego to go and get what you want. And this is all normal and healthy. It's part of being the human animal. But I think at some point it gets out of control. We are constantly just talking to ourselves in our heads. We're playing little movies in our heads, walking down the street, but no one's actually there. Now, of course, you started voicing this thought in your head that you're always having, you'd be a madman and they'd lock you up. But the reality is, if you walk down the street and there are 1,000 people in the street, I think all 1,000 are talking to themselves in their head at any given point. They're constantly judging everything that they see. They're playing back movies of things that happened to them yesterday. They're living in fantasy worlds of what's going to happen tomorrow. And they're just pulled out of base reality. Base reality. Base reality. Base reality. That can be good when you're doing long-range planning. It can be good when you're solving problems. It's good for the survival and replication machines that we are. But I think it's actually very bad for your happiness. In my mind, the mind should be a servant and a tool, not master. It's not something that should be controlling me and driving me 24/7. I want to break the habit of uncontrolled thinking. Of uncontrolled thinking. Of uncontrolled thinking. Which is hard, because if I say to you, don't think of a pink elephant, I just put a pink elephant in your head. It's an almost impossible problem. So it's more something that has to be guided by feel than guided by actual thinking or thought process. But I'm deliberately cultivating experiences, states of mind, locations, activities that will help me get out of my mind. Out of my mind. That will help me get out of my mind. Out of my mind. All of society does that to some extent. People chasing thrills and action sports or flow states, orgasm, or any of these states that people really strive to get to. A lot of these are basically just trying to get out of your own head. They're trying to get away from that voice in your head and this overdeveloped sense of self. And at the very least, I do not want my sense of self to continue to develop and become stronger as I get older. I want it to be weaker and more muted. Everybody says, I don't have time, right? Basically, whenever you throw any so-called good habit at somebody, they'll have an excuse for themselves. And usually the most common is, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. I don't have time is just another way of saying it's not a priority. So what you really have to do is to say, is it a priority or not? If something is your number one priority, then you will get it. That's just the way life works. But if you've got a fuzzy basket of 10 or 15 different priorities, you're going to end up getting none of them. What I did there was I basically just said, my number one priority in life, above my happiness, above my family, above my work, is my own health. And it starts with my physical health, and then second is my mental health, and then third is my spiritual health, and then it's my family's health, and then it's my family's well-being. And then after that, I can go out and do whatever I need to do to the rest of the world. So there's a series of concentric circles starting out for me. So because my physical health became my number one priority, then I could never say, I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't have time. So in the mornings, I just work out. And however long it takes is how long it takes. I just work out. And I do not start my day. I just work out. I don't care if the world is imploding and melting down. It can wait another 30 minutes if I'm done working out. I just work out. So in the mornings, I just work out. And however long it takes is how long it takes. I just work out. And I do not start my day. I just work out. I don't care if the world is imploding and melting down. It can wait another 30 minutes if I'm done working out. I just work out. When you're a little kid and you go to your mom and you say, what happens when we die? Is there a Santa Claus? Is there a God? Should I be happy? Who should I marry? Those kinds of things. There are no glib answers to that because there are no answers that apply to everybody. These questions, the search for truth, they ultimately do have answers, but they have personal answers. Personal answers. Personal answers. Personal answers. So the answer that works for me is going to be nonsense to you and vice versa. So whatever happiness means to me, it means something different to you and it means something different to the listener. But I think it's very important to explore what it is. And for some people, I know it's a flow state. For some people, it's satisfaction. For some people, it's a feeling of contentment. My definition keeps evolving. So the answer I would have given you a year ago would be different than what I tell you now. Today, I believe that happiness it's really a default state. It's what's there when you remove the sense that something is missing in your life. We are highly judgmental survival and replication machines. We're constantly walking around thinking, I need this, I need that, 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 I need this, I need that. trapped in the web of desires. Happiness is that state when nothing is missing. When nothing is missing. When nothing is missing. And when nothing is missing, your mind shuts down. And your mind stops running into the future or running into the past to regret something or to plan something. And then in that absence for a moment, you have internal silence. And when you have internal silence, then you are content and you're happy. People believe mistakenly that happiness is about positive thought, positive action. But the more I've read, the more I've learned, the more I've experienced, because I verify this for myself, every positive thought essentially holds within it negative thought. Negative thought. Negative thought. Is a contrast to something negative. The Tao Te Ching says this more articulately than I ever could. It's all duality and polarity. It's all duality and polarity. So if I say I'm happy, that means that I was sad at some point. If I say he's attractive, then that means that somebody else is unattractive. Every positive thought even has a seed of a negative thought within it. And vice versa. Which is why a lot of greatness in life comes out of suffering. You have to view the negative before you can aspire to and then appreciate the positive. To me, happiness is not about positive thoughts. It's not about negative thoughts. It's about the absence of desire. Especially the absence of desire for external things. And so the fewer desires I can have, the more I can accept the current state of things, the less my mind is moving. The less my mind is moving, because the mind really exists in motion towards the future or the past. The more present I am, the happier and more content I will be. But if I latch onto that, if I say, ooh, I'm happy now and I want to stay happy, then I'm going to drop out of that happiness. Drop out of that happiness. Because now suddenly the mind is moving, it's trying to attach to something, it's trying to create a permanent situation out of a temporary situation. Happiness to me is mainly not suffering, not desiring, not thinking too much about the future or the past, really embracing the present moment and the reality of what is the way it is. Nature has no concept of happiness or unhappiness. To a tree, there is no right or wrong, there is no good or bad. Nature follows unbroken mathematical laws and a chain of cause and effect from the Big Bang to now. Everything is perfect exactly the way it is. It's only in our particular minds that we're unhappy or not happy, and things are perfect or imperfect because of what we desire. I've also come to believe in the complete and utter insignificance of the self. And I think that helps a lot.